It's an absolutely wild day in the world of Magic the Gathering. There has been another Edge of Eternities leak, and this one is massive, showcasing a huge amount of rares from the set, and some of these cards are totally broken.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another glorious installment of Mega Magic News. This is the Ultra Edge of Eternities Rare Leak Edition. And speaking of rare things, just want to let you guys know, if you want to meet a designer of Magic the Gathering cards, somebody who worked on Magic the Gathering, designed Eldrazi like Emrakul, all that goodness, well, Brian Tinsman is a previous Magic designer who will be at Gen Con later on this month, and he's teaching people to play his new game, Wonders of the First. So if you want to sign up for that for free, I'm going to leave a link down in the comments for you to do so you can go and meet my buddy Tinsman. He's a good dude. Now that that fun is mentioned, let us talk about this insane leak, guys. There are so many rares, and good lord, if you love green, you are going to get some amazing awesomeness. Now, not actually included in the cards we're going to look at, but something that did get spoiled I want to let you guys know about is Sliver Overlord is back. So slivers are getting a little bit of bonus sheet treatment, but that's not included in the actual spoiler cards. The stuff we're all going to look at is purely new and pure gasoline. So with no further ado, my friends, on to the rectangles. We're starting off today's wild leak with green insanity. You get so much for 2 green mana. This is redonkulous. Frenzied Baloth, 3/2 for 2 green, can't be countered, trample, haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Combat damage can't be prevented. This feels to me almost like a mini questing beast in terms of all the abilities you slap onto the card. It gets to the point where it's going to be difficult to remember off the top of your head everything that this does. Straight out the gates, 2 mana trample haste. Your guys can't be countered. He can't be countered. Combat damage can't be stopped. There's barely any room for more abilities. The flavor on it's pretty sweet though. Not all species on Evendo welcomed the thawing of the ice. Oh look, there's super hungry Balos that are in a frenzy because they've been stuck in the ice and they're loose. This is pure madness, and green seems to be getting the best end of the deal today. So moving on, this is so nuts. Moving on, we've got Space-Time Anomaly. This is an interesting one. A blue, a white, and 2 for a sorcery that says target player mills cards equal to your life total. So depending on your position in the game, this could be a super good deal or a terrible deal. 4 mana to mill 20 cards isn't too terrible, but in today's world, you can also, for like 5 mana, just mill half of somebody's deck regardless of the size. So when you're at 20 life, meh, in a commander game, maybe getting to mill 40, that's all right. But obviously this is going to shine when you can grab up a ton of life. And it does marry white and blue together pretty well in terms of caring about life from white and milling from blue. And the artwork is pretty wild because it looks like essentially a whirlpool, but it's in space pulling you in, right? So that's insane. The flavor text says the howling winds could hardly be heard over the maddening thoughts of the God Core. Well, I don't know what that is, but that sounds pretty evocative, I do have to say. Then we've got Famished Worldsire. I told you green was going insane today, guys. 3 green and 5, 0/0 ward 3. It's got Devour Land 3. So when it enters, you can sack any number of lands you want, and it enters with 3 times that many +1/+1 counters. Sack 10 lands, it comes in with 30 +1/+1 counters. When it enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. At first glance, you might go, yo, I don't want to sack all my lands. Some of you might actually be having traumatic memories of Wood Elemental, that terrible card from Legends where you had to sack lands to it. It's like the most unplayable creature ever made. But this guy's a completely different beast, right? You sack the lands as he comes out. So if you sacked 10 lands, it's going to happen when he comes out. And then as soon as he shows up, he's like, yo, I'm going to look at the top X cards in my library, which is 30 in this case. And then I'm going to get every land from among them and put it on the battlefield tapped. So out of 30 cards off the top of your deck, you're probably going to replace a bunch of lands. So at first blush, you look at it and go, I don't know if I want to sack my lands, I'm going to lose out. But it's going to instantly replace those lands. The fact that it has Ward 3, I'm surprised that Wizards didn't crank the Ward level higher on it, honestly. You know what I mean? You're going to put a bunch of resources into it. It's going to be a big creature you want to protect it, but at the same time, those resources get replaced, right? So this thing feels like it's going to be used to rip all the lands out of your deck and in dumb combos that feed a ton of lands into the graveyard and bring them back. All right, so Green Insanity. After that, we've got Terminal Velocity. 2 red and 4 sorcery. You can put an artifact or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. It gains haste. And when this permanent leaves the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature. And at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent. It's interesting. You know, putting an artifact or creature straight into play feels more green-blue than it does red. But giving it haste and losing it at the end of the turn definitely has a more red or red-black vibe, right? So this is a pretty wild concept. Just slap any artifact or creature onto the battlefield, sack them, and they do a big blast effect to everybody. I mean, 6 mana is a lot to ask, though. So this could, 6 mana and sacking something, this could theoretically be nothing, right? Next up, we've got the Loading Zone. 1 green and 3 enchantment. If one or more counters to be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet you control, twice that many of each are put on instead. And it's got warp for a green. So you can pop it out for a green, get a bunch of counters, it'll go to exile, and then you can recast it later if you want. So obviously this is going to be a huge card. Doubling counters on your creatures, spacecrafts, and planet. I mean, just the creature part. Just the creature part is enough to make this exciting. Obviously, the spacecraft and planet ties it more into the space set. And if we do get future space sets, you remember we talked about that Star Trek stuff in a previous video, then obviously that'll dovetail with that as well. But ultimately, this is one of those cards that might get overlooked at first, but will slowly creep up over time as people go, whoa, wait, I want to copy a Loading Zone. Where's that from? How do I get that? Right? Look at that one token doubler from Ammon Ket, the white one. It's insane. Annoyed in Procession, right? So this isn't quite that level, but it is something to keep your eyes on. Then we got Rust Harvester, a red for a 1/1 robot with menace. 2 and tap, exile an artifact from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, then it deals damage equal to its power to any target. If it didn't have that power adding ability, this would be pretty underwhelming. 1 mana for a 1/1 menace that 2 and taps, brings an artifact out of your graveyard, or exiles I should say, to put a +1/+1 in it. But doing that damage to any target, and the fact that it can be done at instant speed is pretty wild, right? This is something that can run away if you don't deal with it quickly. Then we've got Elegy Acolyte, 2 black and 2, 4/4 lifelink. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose a life. And it's got Void at the beginning of your end step. If a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, create a 2/2 robot artifact creature token. Not too shabby, right? The whole card draw built into whenever you smack the guy, pretty sweet. Lifelink to make up for the life that you're losing. And then the fixed version of Revolt, where if something basically went to your graveyard that wasn't a land, doesn't even actually have to go to the graveyard. Never mind, leave the battlefield. It's even more powerful, right? So this also cranks tokens that can swing in and draw you more cards. Not too shabby. Then we've got Synthesizer Lab Ship. I always want to say Synthesizer Laptop for some reason. 1 blue for a 4/4 with station. It's a spacecraft. At the second level of stationing, at the beginning of combat in your turn, up to 1 other target artifact creature you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 2/2 and gets flying until end of turn. It's okay. I mean, you have to have another creature out to get it rolling, and then it'll let you turn one of your other guys into a donk to swing in. Not that exciting. But once you get it up to this level, 4/4 flying vigilance, and it turns one of your like other artifacts into a creature. That's not too shabby. That's not too shabby. This one, I don't know quite how well it's going to go. It's kind of hard to gauge how the spacecraft are going to work because we only have crew experience up until now, right? Then we've got Corral of the Void. 1 black and 3 enchantment aura. So this goes on a creature you control, and whenever it attacks, you put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield, attacking under your control, right? So it's also tapped. Now you'll notice that this is something we talked about in the teaser list, but we didn't know about this part at the bottom, where at the beginning of your end step, you have to sack the aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn. I think when we talked about it before, it was just a permanent had to leave the battlefield. I don't think the warp part was included. But either way, this is an insane concept, right? Just straight up, yo, I'm going to swing with this guy and I'm going to resurrect your dead and they will serve me. It's so sick too, especially considering the fact that that creature that you put tapped in play and like attacking does not go at the end of turn. It sticks around. So very strong enchantment. But really open to 2-for-1s too. Slap it on one of your guys, I destroy him in response, and your hose, right? Big risk, big reward style. Then we've got Zoophyte Osteoharmonist. What a wild name. 2 black and 1, 2/3. Legendary human wizard. Tap, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a skeleton in addition to its other types and has no abilities. Activate only as a sorcery. What a wild concept. It's like, yo, I can bring anybody back as an animate skeleton, but they have no abilities, no knowledge of themselves. It really does feel very similar to creating a zombie, right? And I mean, look at that. Look at the crazy arms with the bones coming up. Look at the bones, man. Look at the teeth. Okay, anyways. We've got Secluded Starforge. Tap for a colorless, 2 and tap it. Tap X untapped artifacts you control. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And 5 and tap, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. So a land that can generate dudes and also beef up dudes and generate mana. This is pretty versatile, right? So not too shabby overall. I don't know if it's enough to move the needle though. Then we've got 0 Point Ballad. 1 black and X sorcery. Destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. It feels so gross, right? Like 100%, yeah, you're going to lose a chunk of life. But life loss doesn't matter that much. And if you think about this in a commander game, it gets even grosser where the life loss becomes negligible. And you can use this as a board wipe to wipe out all the creatures and then go, oh, by the way, I have the best creature. Eat it. So that is a powerhouse effect, right? I guess the flavor concept is supposed to be this is an overwhelming army that's just going to wipe everything out, right? So moving on. Next card we got to talk about is Starwinder. 2 blue and 5, 7/7. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. Bro, do I love that. I love the whole whack for 7, draw 7, fill your mitt. It's got warp for 2 blue and 2. Now, interestingly enough, it doesn't gain any advantage from being warped, right? Like if you pay this for the warp cost, it doesn't have haste. You can't attack with it right away. So it's just going to come out for 4 and then get exiled, and you're still going to have to pay the 7 if you want to cast it. So this is one of those ones that's going to require some work. You're going to have to figure out a way to give it haste so that you can put it out early, swing in, and draw a crazy amount of cards. Obviously, giving it trample is going to be great as well. And speaking of great, this is like a celestial sea monster, right? This is like a gigantic water leviathan, but instead it's out in the stars. And I gotta say, that is a pretty cool concept. That does look amazing. Okay, next up, we got Sir Vondam, Sunstar Exemplar. Von Dam. This is Sir Van Dam. All right, a black and a white, 2/2 Vigilance, Menace, Human Knight. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put in exile, put a +1/+1 on him and gain a life. And whenever he dies or is put in exile or his power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. He only has to boost twice to get to that threshold. And then all of a sudden, oops, he's gone, dies, or exiled. So basically, you're not going to be able to get rid of him. You're not going to be able to get rid of him. And if you have it, you could literally boost his power yourself and exile him. If you had an enchantment that gave all your guys +2/+2, and you started blinking this guy, oh, the humanity. So, oh, he's a human. That works. All right. Moving on. We've got, oh wait, no, we already saw this. I don't know how this slid in here, but I guess it's because it's an alternate art. Okay, Arch Enemy's Charm. 3 black instant, choose one. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Return 1 or 2 target creature or planeswalker cards from your graveyard to your hand. Or put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. It gains lifelink until end of turn. This is a bonkers spell. This is 3 mana removal that will permanently get rid of a creature or a planeswalker, or you can bring back 2 creatures or planeswalkers of your own, or you can boost up a guy and gain lifelink and smash for some life. All, remember, this is all at instant speed. This is bonkers. This is super strong. The fact that it's triple black isn't even that restrictive because they've made it so much easier to fix your mana in Magic now that the difference between 2 black and 1 and 3 black is fairly negligible as far as I'm concerned. So this is a powerhouse card, bro, right? And it's actually kind of funky how the artwork looks like the expansion symbol, right? Then we've got Pain for All. 1 red and 2. Enchant creature you control. When it enters, enchanted creature deals damage equal to its power to any other target. And whenever enchanted creatures dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each opponent. So this is an ability we've seen a bunch of times already on different cards, right? There's a Minotaur that does it, Stuffy Doll, a number of guys that say, yo, you hit me, I'm gonna hurt you kind of deal, right? This one is wild because you slap this on any creature. You can turn any creature you have into a creature like this, right? Actually, technically, you could put this on something like a Stuffy Doll, and every time it get hit, then you get both abilities triggering, Stuffy Dolls and the enchantment, right? So this is a fun enchantment that takes an ability that people really like and lets you maneuver around, but also works as removal, because when you play it, you could just smash one of your guys, or smash one of their guys, or I guess, even your opponent if you want. But that helps to fight against the whole 2-for-1 concept, because ultimately, again, when you enchant a creature, if they destroy it in response before you can get a benefit from it, you're not laughing then, right? Then we've got Beyond the Quiet. What gorgeous artwork. 2 white and 3, sorcery. Exile all creatures and spacecraft. At the end of all things, will you find redemption or rebirth? And look at this. This lady is basically collapsing the entirety of the universe down into a singularity? Absolutely awesome. The artwork it leaves you with questions, and it's just gorgeous to look at, right? It's so wild. Okay, after that, we've got Sunset Saboteur, a black and 1 4/1 menace ward. Discard a card. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature an opponent controls. So 2 mana for a 4/1 that has to be double blocked to even be stopped, and they have to pitch a card to be able to target it. That's super strong. Obviously, the downside of giving your opponents +1/+1s, that's bad. You don't want to be growing their guys, but you get this out early. Doesn't matter. They don't have creatures out. They're not growing. You destroy the creatures. Doesn't matter. The creatures aren't growing, right? So I think the reason they put the discard a card ward on here is because this card would feel brutal. Let's say you want to swing on me with this, right? You attack. It puts a +1/+1 on my guys. In response, I destroy a creature. And you're just like, so I just lost my guy and boosted yours. This feels awful. The ward discard a card at least helps to kind of balance out that card advantage loss, right? So this is one of those cards that for me, I wouldn't really play with it, but I have some friends who love cards of the style, absolutely all over it. Well, there we go. All right, man. We had a lot to talk about. We made it all through. So thanks for coming by and seeing the insanity. Wizards of the Coast has just dumped a whole bunch more official spoilers a little later today, depending on when you see the video. They might already be out or not. So keep your eyes peeled. I might be live tonight talking about that over on my live stream channel, depending on how things go. But that wraps up this video. So a big thank you to my channel's members and patrons for actively supporting this channel. You guys rule. A big thank you to everybody for coming by and hearing what I have to say. And I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.